Men Harvesting Wisdom, Triangulation, Choosing Your Priority Dimensions. In our first video, we introduced the 10 dimensions of transformational self-leadership: identity, values, meaning, purpose, self-care, roles, vision, execution, willingness, and legacy. 10 interconnected areas of life that build on one another. We also introduced a key distinction. Change is the external event that happened to you. Transition is the internal journey of moving through what happened. And perception, how you view and interpret the change, is what sits between the two, shaping every response that follows. Armed with this map, the temptation may be to work with all 10 dimensions at once, but for many of us, this can be a recipe for overwhelm. When the mind tries to hold 10 priorities simultaneously, it does not rise to the challenge, it shuts down. The man who tries to change everything changes nothing. So here's how you choose where to focus. This is where triangulation comes in. Triangulation is the practice of choosing 1 to 3 dimensions, no more, that need your focused attention right now. Not forever, right now, based on the change you are facing and the stage of transition you are in. As stated in the last segment, throughout the seasons of your life, every man finds himself somewhere within a transition, on the front end preparing for it, in the middle going through it, or emerging on the other side of it. Viktor Frankl, author of Man's Search for Meaning, captured the heart of this perfectly. Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. The why and the how shift depending on where you are in the journey. Here's what this looks like. If you're preparing for a transition, you can see the change coming and you're getting ready. The dimension of vision, purpose, and values may need you most. These are your compass dimensions. They clarify where you're heading and why. They help you perceive the coming change as a navigable passage rather than an insurmountable threat. If you're in the middle of a transition, the change has already landed and you are inside of it, self-care, identity, and meaning may need your attention most. These are your foundation dimensions. They keep you standing when the ground is shifting, and they help you hold what happened without letting your perception of it consume you from the inside out. If you're coming out of a transition, the worst has passed and you are rebuilding. Execution, roles, and willingness may be calling loudest. These are your rebuilding dimensions. They close the gap between who you have become and how you show up in the world that changed while you were in the fire. And legacy is always present. Who you are being during the transition, not just after it, is the legacy your loved ones and your community absorb in real time. Here's how to triangulate. First, name the change. What happened? Or what is about to happen? Be specific. Not everything is falling apart. What specifically shifted? Second, shift your perception. How are you holding this change? As catastrophe? As an inconvenience? As an opportunity you didn't ask for? Remember, perception is the lens between change and transition. How you see what happened is already shaping how you will move through it. Notice whether you are leaning toward apprehension or anticipation. Third, identify the stage of transition you are in. Are you preparing, going through, or coming out of it? Fourth, scan all 10 dimensions honestly. Not which ones sound interesting, which ones carry the most weight right now. Which ones, if you strengthen them, would carry the biggest ripple across the others. Fifth, choose 1 to 3 and triangulate them. 1 dimension is focused. 2 is strategic. 3 is strength and balance. More than 3 and you risk overwhelm. And overwhelm is where forward movement stalls. Here is what triangulation looks like in practice. A man's relationship with his significant other and his teenage child has gone cold. That is the change. 2 roles that are stressed at the same time. His perception of it, he feels like a failure as a spouse and a father. That perception colors every interaction before he has even walked through the front door. His triangulation begins with the dimension of roles, because he needs to get intentional about how he is showing up in those two relationships. Not just what he is doing, but who he is being when he is with them. Identity is the second dimension to choose, because the shame he carries is a mask, the man who is failing his family, and beneath it lies a man who cares deeply but has lost his way. And self-care may be the third dimension, because he has been so consumed by the crisis in his roles that his own gauges are in the red, and a depleted man cannot show up for anyone. 3 dimensions, 1 triangle, not 10 things to fix. 3 places where focused attention changes how he shows up in every room in his house. This is not a permanent selection. As the change settles, as your perception shifts, as your season evolves, the triangulation changes with it. The map is alive, and so are you. 10 dimensions, 1 map. But you do not carry the whole map into battle. You carry the triangle, the 1 to 3 dimensions your situation demands. And here is what happens when you narrow the focus. Your mind shifts from overwhelm to intention. Forward movement becomes possible, not because you're working harder, but because you are working where it matters most. The change you are facing either already happened or it is coming. You may not control that, but the transition, the internal journey, is yours. And how you perceive the change is the single most powerful variable determining whether that transition matures you or diminishes you. So ask yourself right now, what change am I facing? How am I perceiving it? Which stage of transition am I in? And which 1 to 3 dimensions need me most? That is your starting point. That is your triangulation. You now have a map and the method for focusing on what matters most. In the next video, we're going to go deeper into the single most powerful tool you carry with you through every change and every transition, your superpower of perception. The map is in your hands. The triangle is placed. Your awareness of how you perceive change and transition is critical. Now the work begins.